Hello my dudes. Last month was my dog's birthday, but here we are in the middle of July and this video is still in progress. You may have witnessed this strange creature in one of my 2 publishings, but in case he disappeared into your peripheral vision, this is what he looks like. He is supposed to be a Pomeranian, but honestly, he's more like 2 Pomeranians combined, because he's more than twice the size of your average cuddly creature. Regardless of his thickness, I love him and wish him another year of life, which brings the countdown to his inevitable death 1 year closer. The first thing that any baker must do, whether a reputable Michelin star culinary prodigy or a clumsy child catering for dogs, is to preheat the oven. Then we fetch the ingredients. This recipe is dog friendly, so you won't be seeing much chocolate or any nasty human garbage. This recipe calls for eggs, oil, applesauce, peanut butter, grated carrots, honey, flour, and baking powder. This immediately raises one of many red flags. There is a lot of peanut butter in this recipe, and my sister is helping to film this monstrosity. Needless to say, she was repulsed from the sight like magnets of the same polarity. I didn't have any applesauce, so obviously the best solution was just to not include it. That may have explained why the batter looks so dry at the end, but we don't really need to look too closely into the details for this recipe. Sometimes beggars can't be choosers, and even though my dog is not consciously aware or advocating for this cake, I like to think that he knows the amount of effort and pain that went into making this cake that he didn't ask for. Your birthday? I mean, your birthday was kind of like a few weeks ago. For the past 2 years of celebrating Max's birthday, I had made my dog a dog-friendly cake. This year would not be any different. However, since he was turning 3, I did think that it would be fitting to make him a 3-tiered cake. When he turns 4, I don't know how well that tradition will continue, but that's like 365 days away, minus the amount of delay between the recording and publishing of this video. I first had to line and grease the baking pans. The tiered cake would have 3 different sized layers, an 8-inch, 6-inch, and 4-inch round cake pan. I folded the parchment paper into a cone-like shape and then measured the radius of the pan. Then, using scissors, I cut off the remaining paper and unraveled the circle to make sure that it fits within the confines of the pan. Once that was determined, I took some butter and slathered it on so that the cake would not grow attached to the pan. I repeated this for all of the pans, each one having their own little circle. Oh my gosh, I'm saying pan so many times. How many times did I just say the word pan? I did mess this up quite a few times, as my guesstimation is not nearly as accurate as using a ruler, but who has a ruler in their kitchen anyway? I don't actually know if butter is okay for dogs to eat, but I guess everything's okay to ingest in moderation, right? I mean, it's been a month or so and Max still exists, so perhaps it was okay, though scientists still don't know what goes on in their little noggin. In the meantime, my sister was bopping to some quality music on YouTube, so at least she was entertained during the peanut butter apocalypse. Then it was time to grate the carrots. The recipe requires for 1 cup of grated carrots, but one Google search later tells me that there is no conversion ratio between the number of carrots and cups of grated carrots. I picked out 2 decent looking carrots, we only provide the best for this spoiled boy, and washed them. Once they were squeaky clean, I cut off the ends of the carrots before quickly realizing that I wouldn't need the cutting board anymore because I was grating them and not chopping them. One wasted cutting board later, I started to grate the carrots. This took a while, so I'll save you the pain of real-time grating excitement. Fun story, my sister actually was grating carrots one day and accidentally grated her fingernail off. That is an accident that will live on forever in this grater. It scarred her for life, both mentally and physically. Whilst I was slaving away at making my dog's birthday cake, my sister caught Max trying to eat cookies. However, when I tried to capture some visual evidence for this crime for later allegation, he immediately stopped his illegal duties and acted clueless. Sometimes I wish he was a little more honest with what he does behind our backs, because this whole time I was making him a cake and he repays me with stealing my cookies? No, absolutely not. Well, you win some, you lose some, and you forgive some. But you also make sure that he never takes your cookies again. chewing on some helpless, dead chicken eggshells. Anyways, I continued to measure out and combine the required ingredients. Turns out that my guesstimation for carrots was pretty on point, as you will see that I use up the entire stock of grated carrots. It was pretty satisfying to see that happen, so I guess that all my luck was used up for that very moment. This hypothesis proved to be true when I realized that we didn't have enough honey, so I guess karma's it. Once everything was dumped into a melting pot, I began to stir the mixture with the might of a million Pomeranians when they see a wild bone on the loose. At this moment, we find ourselves distracted yet again by my fluffy housemate, who we decided to try and put a hat on. It may look and sound weird now, and it probably is, but at the time it was very hilarious and entertaining to finesse a measuring cup onto his head. I mean, isn't that just the look of,
"Help me, my humans are abusing me, call the nearest CPS for animal abuse."
Sometimes beauty is pain. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, I mixed in some white powder, the non-addictive kind. And with that final addition, the batter was complete. It kind of looks more dough-like than batter-like, but at this point, I was not going to question the recipe anymore. With that, the batter was whisked into the oven and never seen again. Oh, that shouldn't be there. She's a little flat, but we can manage. Dogs don't judge. Arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs of all ages, it is time for the purge. I mean the celebration of Max's birthday! Obviously, he had no clue what was happening, even though he sat next to me the whole 5 hours that I was making his cake. Obliviousness aside, he was excited regardless of the unfolding events because there was food and his name written all over it. Now we had to start the dreadful task of trying to tape a birthday hat to Max's head. This process was historically tedious and time-consuming, and this time was no different. Wait, let me blow it out. As one can clearly see in this recollection, Max does not like having things placed on his head. I don't know why, maybe it's an evolutionary reflex, though I don't know why he has this considering that he also falls asleep on his back. We managed to wrestle the tiny paper hat onto his head long enough to sing happy birthday. I guess now it's probably important to note that though we provided Max with an over-the-top cake, we somehow forgot to give him a present. It has been a great 3 years with this cotton ball, and I can't really ask for anything more, except I'm anticipating a fulfilling, fun, and babysitter-invested year ahead of us. Thanks, and have a hot dog diggity darn good day. Ew.
That was so bad.
I'm just gonna keep recording.